Hi, this is Rob with Dino Punch here for the first backer update for the Kickstarter for Time Glitch Jammers. Firstly, if you've already backed the project, I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. This project has been over a year's worth of work thus far, and it's silly and it's weird and it's hokey and goofy at first, and then the more you get into it, the more you realize that there's a lot of truth in this project, and I've really been putting a lot of myself in here under the surface. I never want it to take itself too seriously, but I don't want it to just be an entirely silly surface level project, let's say, and that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. So what I wanted to talk to you about is the story that goes along with this game, and there's kind of a story within a story. And what we have here is the very beginnings explaining to you in this main menu scene exactly what the parameters of the plot are. You have to go in the future. This old time-barren fellow tells us that we can glitch between time streams with this new time glitcher that Rob built with some dubious and strange plans on the internet. And he says that we have to go into the future and save the world by making the very best video game ever, or else the world is doomed. So, being enthusiastic, our heroes jump at the opportunity to do such a thing. Careless and reckless abandon about whether or not they can actually make the best game ever. Why not? Let's just go in head first and do it. So, those are the parameters of the story, but what I wanted to talk to you about today is how I'm hiding more of the history of the world. It's all optional, and it's kind of hidden knickknacks here and there in a non-linear way that players that are interested in can go and discover, and they can find answers to every little detail about this world and see how it all went together. That way I'm not burdening players with big text boxes and laboring plot points, but somebody that wants to find out can discover it on their own. And also a design philosophy of mine, which is that I really just missed. I really like to make lemons out of lemonade in regards to glitches or bugs, as long as it's not a game-breaking. Hey, what are those squirrels doing? As long as it's not a game-breaking sort of issue, it's a lot more interesting to me to include it into the design. It's kind of like when you're doing art in another format. You know, if you're sculpting and you mess up one little part, you end up kind of crafting it into the overall design, and that's how you get your happy little accidents, and that's how it becomes a more organic process than just, you know, writing everything down on a list and planning it out. So that's how I like to design. So what we're going to do here today, you're here on level 1. We have this little tutorial that you have to go through to learn the basics, which is pretty much eat anything in the world, you absorb nanobots into your dinosaur stomach, and then you can lay out an egg with different units. And as you go along, you get more units that do different things, and then that helps you plan a strategy, kind of like a tower defense mechanic, so that you can keep all the enemies away from Rob so that he can design his game in peace and save the world. So what I found is with this little jumper guy here, you can see we charge it up by jumping on it a couple times, and we get nice fun little jumps. It was just added in as a toy to make moving around the level more interesting and enjoyable. What I found with this, because a game uses some physics, and this jumper uses physics, that if you press jump just as you spring off, like within the same frame, it will add the velocity of your jump to the velocity of the springboard, and it will shoot you way up in the air. Well, we're going to get a wave of enemies now. Here, let's see if I can... There we go. Woo! Way up in the sky. So that would normally be considered a bug that we would want to fix. So of course, that was not what it was designed to do. Let's rip it out of there. But the more I got thinking about it, the jump pad was put in purely to make moving around the level, which you do a lot, more fun. And finding a super jump that you can't pull off every time, it's kind of skill based, and gives you a super jump like that, is even more fun. So why would I ever want to remove that from the game? I think that should stay. So I left it in. But I think I would like to reward players for finding this little hidden bug, if you will, a little knick-knack of history in the game. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so here we are with our Scene 0 file open in Unity. You can see the level as it is right there. And when our raptor jumps, he goes up about that high when he hits a super jump off from the platform. So what I'm going to do is put a little hidden platform up there. And I'm using Unity, of course, and also 2D Toolkit, which is a great 2D add-on. I started this game long before there was 2D support in Unity. So 2D Toolkit is a great thing that you can get from the asset store, and I highly recommend it. So that's all well and good, but a boring plain platform in the sky doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, and I wanted some story to go along with it. So this is not going to do just on its own. I like to add these here are the little support beams for our platform. Yeah, I can do this part later, I suppose. It's the non-glamorous side of things. But anyways, you get the idea. We'll add little background support guys. So this isn't just actually floating in space, because why would we ever have a platform actually floating in space? There. It's extended on an incredibly long and flimsy pole. That makes a lot more sense. So let's add a little historical knick-knack to this little Easter egg. So you have to remember that the story of Time Glitch Jammers is that the time machine doesn't just travel forward and backward through time. It actually finds time streams that are next to one another, and it glitches in between the two. So there's a near infinite number of Rob and Francis's kind of bouncing around within this shoebox, crisscrossing one another, as well as going forward and backward. So there's, as far as you the player are concerned, there are future events happening here simultaneously early on in the game, in the background, perhaps, hint hint, and there are simultaneous events that happen in different ways depending on which time stream you're in. So there's a lot of failures, shall we say, kind of strewn around the world of different Robs and Francises. So what we're going to do is add in one of those tragic and failed ends to our hero. Okay, so what we have, anyone that works at a computer can probably appreciate, dead at the desk. An alternate version of Rob that worked too hard. I know this feeling. Can be sitting up here. So you'll notice that there's no dinosaur skeleton with him. That's because at certain points in the story, Rob and Francis get separated, and it's up to you, the player, to decide maybe which way you want to go with things. So this Rob apparently struck out on his own, and things did not work out well for him. He worked too hard. He maybe came up on this platform up here to get away from all the bad guys because he had no one else to help him out, and he overworked himself and died of sun exposure. It's a happy story. So that's just a little example of a detail. The game is filled with them. You have to look at all sorts of different things, and if you pay attention and remember, oh, that crystal's strange, you might be able to figure out all the different aspects of the world. So I hope that people play this game with a intent of discovery. That's what I'm hoping for. It's not a Metroidvania or something like that. It is level based, but I tried to add the flavor of that type of game into it, so that it can have just as much discovery as an open world type game would have. But it's only there if you want to find it. So thank you very much for watching. I'm going to do more video updates, especially if you like this one. I can do more like this. I can show you more of the process. So please leave comments on the Kickstarter or drop me a line on Twitter at @DinoPunch, and I would love to talk about what you think of the game.